Over the last century, 99% of the entire African penguin population has been lost. Listed in the Red Data Book as endangered, less than 19,000 breeding pairs remain in the wild. The penguins inhabit 27 sites along South Africa's coastline, with picturesque Boulders Beach in Simonstown as the most well-known. A popular tourist attraction, its white sandy beaches, protected bays and plentiful shelter is an ideal breeding area.
They arrived in roughly 1983, and there's records of the first breeding starting in 1985. Since then the numbers have increased, and in about mid-90s they actually increased exponentially, not just through breeding but through penguins arriving from other colonies, island colonies around the country.
The 2,000 to 3,000 penguins at Boulders Beach live in close proximity to the surrounding residential areas, which creates its own unique challenges.
We've got a total of 4 penguin monitors. They're sponsored actually by SANCCOB, and they work for the City of Cape Town. We've got a very strong partnership with the City of Cape Town. We've got National Parks land and City land right next to each other, and both of them have penguins. So we do have fences around some of the city property and definitely the Sandparks property. But being a bird that is in the sea and on land, they don't necessarily pay attention to fences. So they have the potential to go around. And once they go around into the residential area, this is where the problem often begins. There they have to face, again, people's pets. They have to face cars. They have to face people that really sometimes want to get too close to them. So those areas then are called high-risk areas. And the monitor's job is to make sure that the birds are protected. So we remove the risk.
Abandoned penguin chicks and eggs are taken to SANCCOB's rehabilitation centres. A very intensive, time-consuming hand-rearing process begins here. Very young chicks need feeding up to 6 times a day, and with so many, they need all the help they can get.
Always are looking for volunteers. You know, it's never quiet here. There's always stuff that needs to be done. You know, whether it's helping feed like we're doing at the moment, whether it's driving for us to collect birds or to help us with releases, helping us clean, helping us, you know, do anything. We're always looking for volunteers.
Research shows that hand-reared chicks fare just as well as chicks in the wild. And with rapidly dwindling numbers, it's crucial to save every bird.
When their parents go into molt, which happens annually, they can no longer feed their birds because they have to molt and they're no longer waterproof. So unless we intervene, those chicks would absolutely die. So the African penguin is endangered and is part of a conservation intervention.
To get them ready for life in the ocean, they need to keep fit and healthy. Daily swimming exercises are essential, as they'll soon have to fend for themselves.
They normally feed on anchovy and pilchard, and they currently compete for that fish with animals such as Cape fur seals and also the commercial fishing industry. So, of course, with that industry growing and growing, and the birds have to just swim further and further out to sea, which means that they are at higher risk of being predated upon and maybe running into an oil spill or just being too exhausted to get back to the colony and feed their chick. So it has huge consequences. You know, they may not make it back to the colony, or their chick may die before they get back in order to be fed, and so the food source really needs to be closer to the colony.
Rehabilitation can take anything from 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the bird's size and condition. SANCCOB's veterinary team gives the final nod of approval when the chicks are of fledgling age, and the correct weight, healthy, and their feathers waterproof. And then they're released into the wild. Out in the ocean, they'll have to face numerous threats. Predators like Cape fur seals and sharks, oil spills, food shortages, and the effects of climate change. The survival of this highly endangered, unique bird depends on the intervention of humans. But ironically, it's humans' continued actions that pose the biggest threat to the African penguin. This is Linky Bierman for Morning Live, Cape Town.